Savory Japanese pancake that is packed with veggies and umami. If that piques your interest, keep watching. G'day guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Sam's Home Kitchen, where I bring to you budget-friendly recipes with sustainability in mind. So you can probably tell from the video title that we're going to be talking about Okonomiyaki. So if you have no idea what that is, you're missing out big time, but I'm really glad that you are here and going to learn this recipe. So it's a Japanese style savory pancake that is bulked up with cabbage, often topped with pork belly, prawns, and bonito flakes on top as well. It's savory, it's filling, it's super versatile, and I'm seeing so much popularity gaining across Australian cafes. I'm going to show you how to cook that at home, but I'll put my hand up that this is not going to be the most authentic okonomiyaki recipe you can find out there, but instead I'm going to focus on pantry items. I'm going to focus on things that we can just easily find at home. We don't need to go out and buy all these fancy ingredients and just to make one dish, but instead I'll show you how I make it at home and simplify the recipe but still get the most out of it. And that is all I want to say. As you can tell, I got my mo on. This is not sponsored, but I just want to bring some awareness to men's mental health. Joining the Movember movement, keep a bit of mo, keep it fun, but also mental health, not just for men, but every individual that you come across in your life. Be kind to them, and if you see some odd behaviors, ask them how they're going, ask them if they're okay. Everyone will appreciate a little bit of caring, a little bit of love, and that is all I want to say, and let's get cooking. So our ingredient lists, we are going to separate them into 3 different categories. We got our batter, whatever goes into the batter, and then some sauces. To make our batter, we are going to need some plain flour alongside with some water. To season our batter, there are a few options here. To keep it more traditional, there is the dashi powder to give it that seafoody umami boost. Alternatively, you can use some chicken stock or veggie stock as a substitute. In my pancake today, I'm going to use some nutritional yeast to keep today's recipe vegan friendly. In terms of what goes into the batter, we're going to need some cabbage. Fun fact about okonomiyaki, it literally means whatever you want in Japanese. So I think it's only fair to be adding any veggie scraps that you have in the fridge. I've got some spring onion handy, so we'll be adding that in as well. In terms of sauce, I'm going to show you 2 sauces. First one being okonomiyaki sauce. We need some Worcestershire sauce.
3 of the hardest things for people to say: I was wrong, I need help, and Worcestershire sauce.
Or soy sauce. Some sugar, and then some tomato sauce I forgot to show. One thing I decided to make later on is mayonnaise, so keep watching if that is something that you are keen to learn about as well. Cool. You know the drill, we always work with the scale where it makes sense. For 1 serving of okonomiyaki, we want about 50 grams of plain flour. And then, since it is a batter, we want equal part of water here to make it nice and loose. So that is about 50 grams. Seasoning the dough, I'm trying out some nutritional yeast to get some vegan umami kick. But feel free to use anything that you got handy that we just spoke about earlier, or just some salt and soy sauce will do as well. Give it a good mix until all is combined. Here, as you can see that the nutritional yeast seems to have absorbed quite a bit of water and make the mixture a tad dry. But my lovely, don't panic here, just add a touch more water here and mix it all up until you reach a consistency like this. Once all mixed through, put it aside for now while we chop up some more ingredients. Grab a stalk of spring onion and chop the root bit off. These roots can be replanted to unlock infinite spring onion glitch. Chop the spring onion in half, and I save some of the green part for later for garnish while fine chopping the rest of it. If garnishing is not your thing, feel free to just chop it all up into 1/2 centimeter pieces. And oh yes, sometimes with older spring onions the top will start to dry out. There's no harm chopping them up finely and just throw them into the batter.
Nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Next, cabbage. Instead of cutting the whole head of cabbage in portions, I've just been peeling leaves by leaves and use the amount I need. It helps me keep the cabbage fresh for a lot longer, especially when I'm only cooking for 1 or 2 at most. Say for today, I only need 1 leaf when cooking for myself. Keeping the cabbage whole will avoid it from oxidizing and drying out too fast. Cut the cabbage into workable width. Cut it into 1 cm strips. Turn it 90° anti-clockwise or 270 degrees clockwise. And then do the same to cut them into cubes. Once all is done, chuck both our cabbage and spring onions into our batter. Give everything a good mix and that is kind of ready to go. A little tip here for the sourdough bakers. This is a very good way to use up sourdough starter discards. I keep mine in the fridge and pretty much have pancake or okonomiyaki on demand. So before we go ahead and start cooking, I know it's so very tempting, but slow down honey. We need to make up our sauces first. Whip out our scale again, and with our Worcestershire sauce, measure out 20 grams of it. Next, we want equal part of tomato ketchup. I somehow don't have any at home, but happen to have some tomato paste hanging about, so I use that instead, but just slightly less since it's a little bit more concentrated. Next, we want 10 grams of sugar. Give it a good stirring, like when the sister-in-law visits. It's okay that the sugar is still a little bit grainy. It should even out at the end. Next, some homemade mayonnaise. So this mayonnaise is the only component that is not vegan friendly, so feel free to substitute it with any vegan mayonnaise that you got handy. I was being a smartass and thought I could do 2 people's job by myself and obviously stuffed up. When using a whisk like this to mimic stick blender, this method only works when you constantly whisk your egg and have another person streaming in oil slowly. Moral of the story? I tried this so you don't have to. With our mayo, I added a teaspoon of homemade mustard, 1 small egg. Yes, the whole egg, no wastage here. Stick the stick blender in, and by the way, you can do this in a blender too. Get it all blending and slowly stream in some of our neutral oil in. Here, the broken up egg yolk should start binding the oil molecules. Hold and suspend them to create an emulsion called mayonnaise. The more oil we add in here, the thicker the mayo will get. To a degree, obviously, there's no way we can make a whole liter of mayo with just 1 egg. Once it's all blended through, add a pinch of salt in. To mimic the flavor of Kewpie mayo, I added a couple of teaspoons of sugar, dash of vinegar to brighten it up, and then blitz it through again until all is well combined. Clean our stick blender up and make sure there is as little as possible wasted. Now, we've got all 3 of our components ready to go. That is our batter, okonomiyaki sauce, and then our mayonnaise. We'll head over to the stove and cook it all up. Put a wide-based pan on medium to low heat. A healthy amount of neutral oil to coat the pan so nothing sticks. Once the pan is up to temperature, pour in our batter. You'll definitely look very chunky like this, but don't worry, trust in the process. Flatten out the pancake without pressing it too much. We want it to be crispy on the outside, but still soft and fluffy on the inside. The batter might be a little bit loose here, so finesse it a little bit and shape it with your spatula. For a more traditional recipe, here is when you can add in pork belly, prawns, or bacon. I'm keeping it vegan friendly, so I'm perfectly happy with this. After a few minutes, the pancake is ready to be flipped when the bottom goes golden brown like what you can see here. Not sure how many of you can relate, but there is a cast iron subreddit about sliding anything in the pan, so here's my slidey okonomiyaki for the niche. The pancake is a bit loose here. Maybe I should have just put in slightly less cabbage, but no big deal. Once the pancake is flipped over, we want to apply the okonomiyaki sauce on the cooked side. This can be done while cooking or after you get the pancake out as well. To plate up, get our pancake out, reshape it a bit, and then the green onion we saved earlier. I decided that I wanted to be a bit of a fancy pan, so I opened the cylinder up and kind of just julienne it very thin. On top of the pancake, I really was trying to be fancy and thought I can just do some really nice fine dining plating with mayo and spring onion. Turned out I just don't have the skills and gave up very easily. That is good enough for a home cook like me. Some extra mayo on the side because why not? If you got some Japanese chili powder or shichimi takarashi handy, this is a perfect recipe for it. The cost breakdown is as below. 50 grams of plain flour at $1.10 a kilo equals to 5.5 cents. 1 leaf of cabbage is like 1 cent. 1 spring onion is about 20 cents. 20 grams of nutritional yeast at $40 a kilo equals to 80 cents. 20 grams of Worcestershire sauce at $8 a kilo equals to 16 cents. 20 grams of ketchup at $2.90 a kilo equals to 5.8 cents. 20 grams of sugar at $1.10 a kilo equals to 2.2 cents. 3 grams of salt at 90 cents a kilo equals to 0.27 cents. 100 grams of neutral oil at 34 cents a kilo equals to 3.4 cents. 1 egg is about 30 cents. So altogether, one serve of okonomiyaki costed us $1.64.17 cents to make at home. Alright, and there we have it. That is our okonomiyaki, aka Japanese cabbage pancake done. One serve of these, if you go out and order it at a cafe, easily cost you 15 to 18 bucks, if not more. So I'm going to dig in and let you know if it's worth it to just make this at home. The cabbage really crunchy and just makes it really refreshing, and then the okonomiyaki sauce on top, slightly tangy, quite sweet, and in combination of some rich mayonnaise, and then the chili powder, one of my favorite things to add onto anything that's kind of Asian. And this is a really good way for you to use up any blitz and blobs that you just got left over in the fridge. Combine everything together and I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Nice and caramelized on the outside, but on the inside it's still really light and fluffy. Absolutely delicious. Alright, that is all I got for you today. I'm going to get back into this and finish it. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed it, if you learned something, please consider subscribing. I have a new video coming out every 2 weeks. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.